Tonight on Denver7 News at 6.
It doesn't seem real.
A mother mourns.
How do you go on without her? I don't know.
An alleged killer makes her case.
The NCAA enters an unfamiliar court.
As long as there's the demand and the money keeps going up and people are watching sports on TV, there's going to be all this pressure for change.
The Rockies are back. The fans are back. We're less than 24 hours from opening day, and I've got the latest for you live from Coors Field.
And a whistleblower claims the state is putting polluters ahead of public health.
The people who should be concerned about this is basically anybody who breathes the air.
Good evening. We're awfully glad you're with us tonight. I'm Shannon Ogden.
And I'm Jessica Porter. Terry Leiker was her own person, but she seemed to belong to everyone. Her family adored her. She had a doting boyfriend. Customers at the King Soopers on Table Mesa Drive loved seeing her.
Well, today, Terry's mother told our Aunt Trujillo that she always knew her daughter was happy, and now she knows just how happy her daughter made everyone else.
To me, it really isn't true. I know it is, but it's in my mind. I'm thinking, no, it isn't true.
Margie lost her only daughter that tragic day. Terry was only a half hour from ending her shift as a courtesy clerk at King Soopers.
She used to call me every time she got home from work to tell me she was home safe.
Did you know that day that something was wrong, that you had not received a call?
It was weird because Clint, who works with her, who lives with her, works there, and he was in the parking lot doing buggies. And he saw the shooter and saw what was happening. Somebody said, "Clint, run." So he ran to Abo's and called me, and he was frantic. He said, "Marge, there's a shooting at the store and I can't find Terry."
Like the other families, Margie went to the CU Event Center waiting for word. Word that didn't come.
There were only like very few people there. So we knew we were the ones.
What Margie wants is the world to focus on the good in her girl Terry, who was so proud about graduating from Longmont High School, even though she had a disability and had difficulty with abstract thinking. She got a job at King Soopers at age 21, loved animals, loved her CU buffs, was so compassionate she would cry over last year's fires wanting to send money to help, who rarely missed a day of work. And her mom has since learned Terry's customers and friends loved her right back.
People have just been so good. And so you think, oh, there's this bad guy that did this. Well, yes, he is a bad guy. He's an evil person. However, most people are good. And that's what we have to keep thinking. How do you go on without her? I don't know. It's going to be a long time.
She does know her daughter was happy that morning, and that is what Margie is holding on to.
No matter who you are, no matter if you have a disability, you can make a life of happiness for yourself. You just have to want to do it.
Beautiful person. That was Aunt Trujillo reporting. An unhinged, rambling letter penned by Letitia Stouch to a judge was unsealed today. Stouch is accused of murdering her stepson Gannon last year in Colorado Springs. She told a judge her defense team sent her an actress rather than a doctor. She also believes her lawyers were in, quote, cahoots with the prosecution. A judge ultimately ruled he could not prevent Stouch from representing herself, however ill-advised that may be.
Colorado Democrats are attempting to limit the use of ketamine in law enforcement situations. A bill introduced this week would allow that sedative to be used only in emergencies, and it also requires that the person be weighed beforehand.
We saw in the Elijah McClain case that black men of color, are seen as stronger and bigger, and that oftentimes leads to a mismeasurement of dosing. 10 pounds different, 20 pounds different, 30 pounds different can mean death to some folks when you have a misdosing, and that needs to change.
The bill has only been assigned to committee, so we have a long way to go here, but I promise you we will follow its progress.
Several Supreme Court justices appeared skeptical today of arguments that college athletes should not be paid for their time on the court, field, or track. Others appeared reluctant to put much skin in the game. As reported by the Washington Post, Justice Kavanaugh noted that antitrust laws were not designed to allow the exploitation of students. Justice Thomas pointed out that coaches are technically on the amateur level and their salaries have skyrocketed. Justice Sotomayor and Justice Breyer both expressed concern about what role the courts should play in litigating a tradition beloved by millions. Roger Pelkey served as the director of the now defunct Sports Governance Center at CU Boulder. He says college athletes do receive some compensation. The question we're faced with today, and have been for some time, is whether that compensation is enough.
This is the United States of America, and the expectation is people get rewarded for the labor and work that they do. So if an athlete is responsible for bringing in X million dollars to the University of Tennessee or University of Alabama or wherever it happens to be, the legal questions are what right does an employer have to prohibit them from being compensated for their services at a market rate?
We'd love to get your take on this. You can weigh in with an email to 360@thedenverchannel.com.
A whistleblower complaint claims the state health department is looking the other way when it comes to pollution. Denver7's political reporter Megan Lopez with that story tonight.
Lately, when you've heard about the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, it's been their response to COVID. But the department deals with a lot more than that. It oversees public health, waste management, water quality, air quality, and more. Only recently, 3 employees from CDPHE's Air Pollution Control Division have sent a 15-page complaint to the Environmental Protection Agency accusing the department of breaking the law. Before we get into that, a quick explainer. When a company wants to build a site that might emit pollution, like oil drilling pads, mines, or asphalt plants, they have to file an application. That application is reviewed by the Air Pollution Control Division. Permit engineers do an initial review and then decide whether they need to produce a model on how much pollution the new site is expected to emit.
Over the last few years, the modelers who are working there have noticed a precipitous decline in the number of permits which are being referred to them. They are essentially being worked around.
So they started conducting their own models for sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and particulate matter, things that contribute to poor air quality.
They found in permit after permit that there were all of these potential violations or actual violations in permits that were going to be issued by the department.
Then on March 15th, the whistleblowers say they were told to stop creating those models and in one instance, quote, ordered to falsify data.
It is pressure from the top down, basically at every level of management, to make sure that as many permits as possible go out the door.
So now they're asking for the EPA to conduct an investigation.
It was incredibly brave of them all to come forward like this.
In a statement, CDPHE says it can't talk specifics in the case, but, quote, we are committed to transparency in our permitting and modeling processes. Meanwhile, the EPA sent Denver7 a statement saying it will evaluate that complaint and it will, quote, focus on ensuring that CDPHE's management of emission sources complies with the Clean Air Act. Megan Lopez, Denver7.
1 million Coloradans have now been fully vaccinated against coronavirus. 48,000 shots were administered today alone. 2.6 million Coloradans have received at least 1 dose.
And hospitalizations remain low, but people are still contracting the virus. Another 1,700 cases confirmed today in Colorado and 12 more deaths. That makes 42 just since Sunday.
Street sweeping resumes in Denver tomorrow, and you guys know the drill. Move your car when the sign says to move it. Otherwise, you're gonna get a ticket and be that person. Don't be that person.
Coming up, a Colorado man goes from hot rods
When people see it, I want them to say, oh, that crazy Rick built that.
to hot seats.
Don't ask me what gave me the idea.
What to expect at Coors Field for opening day.
Plus, Red Rocks announces its first act.
The Cherry Creek Arts Fest makes a move.
And an ultra-popular burger chain shows interest in Colorado.
More mass vaccination sites are opening up, and now in the heart of downtown Denver, Ball Arena set to open as a drive-through site starting tomorrow. What you need to know to get vaccinated there tomorrow morning starting at 4:30. Watch Denver7.